Good morning, Zio here, and today we talk about Gearbox and Borderlands and Randy Ptchford, because that seems like a good thing to start with our week. So, get your coffee, let's do this. Yeah, it's day something another of whatever pandemic that we got going on. Everybody's gone nuts. The world is going crazy. There's something about a tiger and some king, and I don't know anything about it, but hey, that's where the world has come to. But we're here to talk about gaming, of course, and today we're talking about Borderlands 3 and people getting stiffed on their bonuses, because there's nothing worse than getting promised money to then have it taken away from you at the last second. Said, sorry, yeah, it's not gonna happen. But yeah, that's where we are, and it has nothing to do with said pandemic. So it apparently has everything to do with mismanagement of the company. Who would have thunk it? But yeah, so let's get into this, shall we? Apparently, Gearbox, Borderlands 3. Wow. I'm not up yet. I need more coffee. And of course, I've been gone for a few days because I had to take some time off, so I'm trying to get back into it. Might take a few days to get there. We're gonna see how well work is this week and if I'm dying or not. Anyway, but apparently, employees were shocked at Gearbox the developers of the game Borderlands 3 when the studio's CEO Randy Ptchford told them yesterday, or well, not yesterday, but I'm apparently reading this verbatim today because that's exactly what we're doing, that they would be not receiving a significant royalty bonus that they expected. And employees at the studios will get a small bonus check, but nothing close to the tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands that they may have expected. Which is, wow. I mean, when you finish a project that you've worked a lot, really hard on and stuff, and then total, by the way, you know when we promised you X, you're not getting X, which of course, sorry about your luck, employees at Gearbox, but here's the deal. I'm not here to, get on your case or anything, but you need to get everything in writing. That's the best thing I can tell you. I mean, there are plenty of things out there that give bonuses based on different things. I think we've talked about bonuses in the past in some other weird video about something. But anyway, you can get bonuses for different things depending on what it is that you're doing, your job and stuff like that. And they're not guaranteed, right? Bonuses are never, ever guaranteed. And Gearbox seems to have this problem, how they how they gain employees are promising these bonuses, but unless these bonuses are straight up written somewhere, which I'm sure they are, because you're talking about a split that we'll talk about here in a second. I'm sure those are written down somewhere, and you've got two choices at this point. If you think that they're stiffing you on your bonuses, you can sue. Right? You can go ahead and sue, get discovery going, seeing how much money was actually made, and whether or not the the division between the split was proper or not between you and everybody else and stuff. Next, there's a lot of mismanagement, it looks like, in this entire thing. So we'll get into that as well. However, if you work at Gearbox, that's stuff that you want in writing. Especially if it's a specific amount that you're being promised. If say, hey, at the end of 2 months, you get $200 bonus or something like that. Definitely have that in writing. Have it signed. Have triplicates of that, quadruplets if you need to. Keep a copy for yourself, keep 3 copies for yourself, keep one at your desk, they have one on file and all this other stuff. Keep one at home, keep one at a friend's just in case they break into your home and burn it down, that sort of thing, so you can come back later and go, hey, look, you promised me this, it's written right here, here's your signature, here's my signature, where is it? If you don't have that in a contract or anything, I'm sorry. It's crappy. I'm not gonna lie, it's crappy. I get bonuses too. And when I don't get my bonus over some bullshit, I get kind of livid, but at the same time, it's not written down anywhere that I have to have that bonus, and they're not going to put it in writing. Trust me, I've tried. But, at the same time, there's not a whole lot that can be done about it. Whether or not, this is just Gearbox being scummy is a different thing that unfortunately I don't think anybody can actually answer. I know I saw a lot of things going on last week talking about how what is it? Randy Ptchford, scumbag, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. And, maybe he is. He's done things in the past that are kind of scummy and stuff like that. But as for running off with thousands of hundreds of dollars of employees' money, that's a completely different thing. That actually shows how badly they mismanage things, especially if they were promising, this stuff to their developers all the way up to the end game. And then, was like, oh yeah, by the way, that there is the scummy part, because they knew what was going on. So let's go a little further into this real quick, and I'll try to elaborate. All right. But Gearbox, based in Frisco, Texas, offered its employees below average salaries for video games in the industry, which of course is not the first time I've heard companies do this, which is, I'm not sure why people work at these. Well, okay, I take it back. I understand. They're promised something different, right? I think Blizzard, or Activision Blizzard now, they have always been below average wages. And, I guess it's just the fact that you're working at Blizzard. Not gonna lie, if it was years ago, I probably would have took the same things. Like, I'm working for Blizzard, who cares? As long as I can make my payments and do everything else that I need to do, doesn't matter if it's below average. Another thing I also would like to ask real quick, if anyone knows, if you happen to work in the video game industry, what exactly is the average wage for video game industry? Mainly because I ask this mainly because wages and things differ for different things. Different stuff that's happening out there, right? Like in the area that I live, you can make minimum wage and survive on it, right? It could be considered a living wage. Meanwhile, when you got people in California or New York, whatever, fighting 15 for minimum, everyone should have a living wage. I sit there and I think, what do you mean living wage? Because you should be able to live. I mean, it's somewhat on the low tier. However, it's not putting you in a ditch. So depending on where you are, where the economy and stuff like that, a below average wage for, say, my location is not the same as below average wage for, Los Angeles, California, or Salt Lake City, Utah, or anything like that, So I've always wondered what exactly is considered a below average. Maybe it's for Texas because they always seem to be Texas-based companies. Wait, is Blizzard Texas-based? I really can't remember. I don't think they are. Anyway, they're in California. My mind. Yeah, this whole being indoors thing, my mind died a long time ago. Anyway, off track. Let's get back. To make up for that, the studio offers something unique. A profit sharing. Royalties from the developer game are split 60-40, with a 60% going back to the company, of course, and 40% is distributed to the employees in the form of quarterly bonuses. Oh, I get quarterly bonuses too. just not quite that much. Mine are safety bonuses. Anyway, when 2012 massive Borderlands 2 came out, many Gearbox workers made enough money to buy houses, a fact the studio often touted while recruiting new employees. And to be totally honest, it's probably not something I would use as recruitment. By the way, if you work for us, you could get a bonus that allows you to buy a house. I'm just going to go on a limb and say that they made enough money in one bonus check to straight up pay 100% on a house. It's got to be it. So say the house is $100,000, $200,000. They made enough in that bonus check to just straight off pay off that house. Because, yeah, I mean, I'm sure all of them right now can go and do a loan or whatever and, set up a payment plan and pay, $700 and something a month or $500 and something a month, whatever it is. Yeah, and buy a house. But that's probably not exactly where I would go with that, unless that's the route that they're taking. Look, in the past, we made Borderlands 2. When that thing went out, our employees made enough money that they can straight up pay cash for a house. The entire thing. Anyway, yeah. They're coming with a suitcase. Anyway, Gearbox has been struggling lately, of course, with Aliens, Colonial Marines, whatever Battleborn was. I say whatever Battleborn is, but I know what that is. I just never played it. Anyway, and the company's management promised them six-figure bonuses following the launch of Borderlands 3, which they are now not getting. But yeah, Randy Ptchford told employees that the Borderlands 3 bonus checks would be significantly lower than they hoped. He said the game had been more expensive than expected. The company had grown significantly larger than it had in the past, and it operates, a second studio in Canada now, and the sales projections have been off, which of course may all be true. But this is where the mismanagement part comes in. Like I said, we'd get into it later, right? The mismanagement part. They already knew that, right? So this is why I was saying, is this a thing that they had been touting up until just recently when they're like, oh, by the way, remember those checks we promised you last month that we said, yeah, keep going. Or, the month before the game came out, because it came out at the end of last year, to help you get through the crunch and everything. And I know you guys worked like 138 hours that week and the last 3 weeks before it launched and everything else and stuff. But, remember those checks? Yeah, we made an oopsie, and yeah, they're not as big as that because we mismanaged everything and just can't seem to tell you that that's what we did, but it's just not gonna happen, right? Anyway, they expect the lifetime unit of sales to be records for this series, which of course, Borderlands 2 did the same thing. Yeah, this is pretty recent. I think it was last month or something, but Borderlands 2 has passed 22 million copies sold worldwide, and of course Borderlands 3 currently is sitting somewhere close to about the 8 million, 9 million sales cap. And I believe, wasn't Borderlands 3 an Epic exclusive? So when this thing does hit Steam, on the PC, there's going to be a lot more people purchasing this game. And of course, if that's all they did and they were expecting more, then one can make the argument, well, you made it Epic exclusive at that point. That's your fault. If you had released it for everything everywhere at the same time, those sales figures could be skyrocketing even higher, which of course is possible. Then we could be seeing like 12 million, 11 million copies sold worldwide up at this point instead of the 8 million. Can we even say that's meager? The meager 8 million. Just sold 8 million. I mean, come on. Could do better. Gotta pump up those numbers. But, could it have done it if it wasn't? That's a question we may not know. Of course, I guess it really depends on until when it comes out. on all platforms, and everybody across the spectrum can go ahead and get this, then we'll actually have more of an idea of how many numbers, or what the numbers possibly could have been right at, you know, the first several months worth if it had actually launched that way. You know, you're gonna be able to tell, because I'm talking as if it's an Epic exclusive, because I'm pretty sure it was an Epic exclusive. Anyway, but yeah, when it does launch for Steam, look at the day 1 sales, day 2, you know, the first week that it goes live, see, and add that to the number of what happened beforehand, and you get more of a general idea. But anyway, one of the larger factors apparently was a technology swap between the Unreal Engine 3 to the Unreal Engine 4, which costed a lot more. So why? This is not like it's some kind of surprise to you. These things are planned months in advance, years in advance. You know, there's a timetable. I've dealt with this in the military, where we plan a project, and we're talking about this project 5 years down the road. We're going to be installing these buildings to handle this particular mission, to do this particular stuff, and we need this X technology in that, and we need people set aside to wire this and do that, and all this other stuff. You know, these things are planned years in advance, and the same thing with games. And most large projects like movies and TV shows and stuff like that, it's not like somebody snaps their finger and boom, there's a AAA title in your lap for you to sell to everybody. No, these things take time. They take planning. When you transfer, you know, from say Unreal 3 to Unreal 4, that was a choice by management. You know, there was no need for that. Really, there's no need for that. Somebody can correct me on this, of course, for this next statement, but Borderlands 3 and Borderlands 2 look exactly the same to me. Not gonna lie, when I've watched them both, they look exactly the same. There's no real difference in the engine to my eyes anyway. Now, for you, if you've been playing the series a lot and all this stuff, maybe there's things that you notice, but for me, who you could, I guess, call the normie or whatever, who might go and pick up this game, you know, I'm not going to notice a huge difference that's going to be like, oh, that game looks 1,000 times better. Oh, I want that, than its predecessor or whatever. You know, it's not that difference of a technology jump to make one do that, of course. Which is why I say mismanagement. You know, you didn't have to do that to cost a lot more. And then, of course, you've got downloadable content that apparently costs quite a bit to do, but the game's budget apparently was $95 million, and the entire thing was run roughly $140 million. So because my math can't math, I'm thinking around 30-some million just for the DLC or something like that. Yeah, something 40, 50. Gosh, you know what? I'm gonna math for a second. Okay, so after I math, that turns out it's 45 million. So the DLC was a chunky part of that, 45 million. So I'm going to ask this real quick. Does anybody know how much DLC is available for Borderlands 3? Is it anywhere close to what the game itself has to offer? That's it. That's all I got to ask, because that seems really chunky for your DLC. Especially for the game not to be out that long yet. Unless you've got a ton of DLC that you dropped right outside the gate, then my other question, of course, is why wasn't that just included with the game? You're pulling me into one of those, if this could have been just put into the game to begin with and not DLC. But anyway, I do digress. But there's another thing that's been floating around as well. It's apparently Randy Ptchford took 12 million bonuses. Everything that I have seen, except for this article right here, which surprisingly is from Kotaku, everything else that I've seen people talking about it on Twitter or anything else is talking about how Randy took a $12 million bonus and left his employees high and dry, right? According to this, that was in 2016. That was before, like, right as Borderlands 3 was developing. Yeah. I mean, I don't really know how all this stuff works sometimes. Just gonna throw it out there, but apparently it was it was taken around the development start of Borderlands 3. The bonus was real. It's been found out through court documents because apparently a Gearbox lawyer, Wade Calendar, became entangled in some kind of ugly lawsuit with the studio. And the bonus existed, according to two people with knowledge of what happened, but it came to the company's 60%, not the 40% of the profits that were meant to go to the employees. So here's the questions I have to ask now. One, that 60-40, where did that come from? Is that from the deal from Epic or somebody, where they just paid off the projected stuff to put it on their thing? Two, if that's the case, why have the employees not already received their bonuses right around the start of Borderlands 3? Why hold on to that? Why not already give that to them if they've already got it? Because I think that would be the fair thing, because if you're going to hold on to the employees portion of it, you should also hold on to Ptchford's portion of it, stick it in some account somewhere and draw interest or whatever. I don't care. And take the interest as another extra bonus for the company, or pour it back into the company's assets or something like that, or give it to the employees and say, hey, look, so we did this thing 4 years ago where we took all that money, put it into here, and here's the extra capital for that. It came in interest, so we're now going to divvy it out to the employees as a second, an extra to your bonus. That would be a cool thing. Anyway, so that's my questions are, where did that money come from? How did Randy get his early, and why didn't the employees already get theirs? Or is that from something to do with Borderlands 2? Or something else, or another game or something? Is that a bonus from that? Because regardless, he took 12 million back in 2016, has nothing to do with right now. Until somebody can answer where that money came from and how he got his part of his 60%, and not the 40%, considering there were no profits yet. That's where the real question comes from, is not that he's not exactly completely scummy for taking his cut and his employees not having any, but I want to know where that came from beforehand. Yeah, because this is supposed to be a 60-40 of the profits, right? And if the game isn't made yet, how do you get profits for a game that doesn't exist? Unless, they were already paid for it, and why didn't the employees already get it? Which, of course, is another thing. Did the employees already get it? And nobody's really reporting that, and they're just... And somebody might be trying to double dip or something, I don't know, and go, hey, look, you gave us... Or maybe they gave them half of it? And then said, oh, by the way, I don't know. Anyway, Gearbox did release a statement, of course, talking about it right here when asked to comment. Borderlands 3 represents an incredible value to gamers and incredible achievement by the team of Gearbox Software. Our studio is a talented lead, and we believe strongly in everyone sharing and profitability. The talented Gearbox enjoys participation in the upside of our games, to our knowledge, that most generous royalty bonuses system in AAA. Since the program began, Gearbox talented has earned over 100 million in royalty bonuses above and beyond traditional compensation. In the most recent pay period, Gearbox talent enjoyed news that Borderlands 3, having earned revenue exceeding the largest investment ever made by the company into a single video game, had officially became a profitable video game, and the talent at Gearbox that participated in the royalty system bonus has now earned their first royalties bonus on that profit. Additionally, a forecast update will be given to the talent at Gearbox that participated in the royalty bonus to set up for the coming the expectation for the coming quarters. Gearbox is a private company that does not issue forward-looking statements to the public, but we do practice transparency within our family. So that was one check. Okay, so with everything else out of the way, apparently they've gotten one check of possibly multiples, right? And of course, you know, we saw these figures here, 22 million. If they still do this thing and that's that manner and they've got that in writing, you know, those employees are still receiving checks for Borderlands 2 sales, who were there for Borderlands 2, which of course means, you know, the employees will still be getting checks for Borderlands 3. It just may not be as big as a quick chunk as they want it to, because quite frankly, it seems to be mismanagement of the project. The jump from Unreal 3 to Unreal 4 that didn't need to happen. Maybe the fact that it became an exclusive on one PC platform, for some, you know, the opening of another studio and hiring much more staff than maybe the company can handle. And we have talked about this way too long, so I'm gonna pass it on to y'all. What do you think about all this? Is Randy Ptchford scum for taking 12 million back in 2016 before the game actually had officially started being worked on and nobody else getting anything? Or you know, what are your thoughts about all this? So I think I'll leave it there, and I'll talk to you in the next one.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment, smash that like button, and always subscribe for more. And of course, there are other videos floating around somewhere on the screen, so click one of those and see if you can find something that suits your fancy. Till then, I'll see you later. Bye.